How's it going, everybody? Welcome to SMG Viewers Comments, episode 44. Before we get started, just want to give you guys a quick update on what's going on with the channel. Got a lot of stuff going on. Still working on Moon on the Water. Still working on the How to Mix Heavy Drums videos. Those are definitely coming. I'm also doing a cabinet shootout video. That'll be coming out hopefully sometime next week. Basically want to help you guys make a decision when it comes to buying a guitar cabinet. Should be very cool and very eye-opening. Anyway, let's get to it.
Sexy man, sexy man, I'm a sexy man. I'm a very sexy man.
First, let me say I agree with you on most tonal arguments, covering the mic, samples, etc. But I had a question. Since all sound is subjective, do you ever allow artists the freedom to choose? Yes, I see what you're saying, but we still agree our sound is the sound we want. Or do you insist that your choice, don't cut the mic, will not use autotune and so on, is the only one you will work with? I hope nothing I said came across as judgmental or presumptuous. Merely curious how you decide on certain points that are entirely influenced by your opinion or theirs.
That is an absolutely fantastic question. I'm so glad you asked. Generally, before I record a band, I will sit down with them, have a meeting, show them the studio and whatnot, and just tell them what my philosophy is. And, if it doesn't gel, it doesn't gel. That way, at least we know what we're getting into before we even come in. If a band wants to, do auto-tuned vocals or crop mic or anything like that, I'll basically say, there's a lot of other places that'll do that. I tend to hold musicians to a higher standard. There's a lot of stuff I won't let musicians get away with. And, if they're not into that, that's fine. There's a lot of other studios around, and that's totally fine. And I'll even make recommendations for other studios. Be like, okay, go check out this guy, or go check out this guy, because if I'm not into it, I don't really want to do it. It's that simple.
I want to run my amp head Bad Cat Lynx 50. Fuck yeah! In my control room with the cab, Mesa 4x12, mic'd up downstairs in the live room. Is a long-ass speaker cable my only option?
Dude, I don't know if it's your only option, but it's probably your best option. I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong here. You can't really run a super ass long guitar cable all the way down to your cabinet. Like if you moved your head all the way down there with it, because you'd lose a lot of treble. Generally, you can run speaker cable for a pretty long way before it starts fucking up your sound. I mean, that's how I work with it. If you like the tones I get, I've got some pretty long speaker cable runs from my control room to my live room. So if you like the guitar tones I'm getting, that's what works for me. You can look into getting like an almost like a transmitter sort of thing. Radio makes something where it'll take your a signal, and then you can fire it. You can signal off your guitar and fire it off down a mic cable to an amplifier on a long cable run. That might work too, but for me, speaker cable does seem to do the trick.
What would you recommend that's better for less?
Seriously, you should be looking at software solutions. I mean, there's Recabinet, there's Bias Effects, or Bias Amp, Bias Effects. There's a whole bunch of different programs in the Bias series. You can even check out the Joey Sturgis plugs, ToneForge. He's got two variations on that. I'm going to be doing a review on those in the very near future. And from what I've been playing with, they're pretty fucking good, and they're great for an entry level app. They will get you a very good tone in very short order. So definitely a lot cheaper than getting like a Line 6 Pod or Spider or something like that.
It happened to me last year. I started playing bass for a couple weeks. My buddy said he needed a bass player for his band. I said no chance, I can't play bass. And then he said, you are already better than the previous one. So I guess it's true what Glenn is talking about.
Yeah, no fucking shit, it's true what I'm talking about. I've only been fucking saying this till I'm blue in the face for the last 2 fucking years. Unfortunately, it happens way too often that the bass player in a band is usually the shitty guitar player, and that's very unfortunate. Bass plays such a central role in metal music. I wish more people would take it seriously, and I wish other musicians would take it as seriously as it needs to be taken. Because if the bass playing sucks on your record, your whole record's gonna suck.
I disagree with automatically making a drummer play softer just to appease your job as an engineer. Making someone completely change the energy in playing is changing the song and the passion and energy put into the song. I think it's fucking lame.
Well, you know what? I think a drummer whining that an engineer might ask him to ease up on the hi-hat's kind of fucking lame. I was at Shredmonton a couple weeks ago, and I got to hang out with the guys from Goatwhore, and I was asking them about, did they bring their gear up to the gig and whatnot? No, they flew up and played on rental gear. The drummer was playing on a rental kit, and I was talking with Sammy about his amp setup, and here's an interesting thing. He was playing a Marshall that night, but he's a Randall guy. And, they did the show, and he did the show with a Marshall, and you know what? They did an amazing job. And I thought that was great. Did they sit around and whine that they didn't get to play on their own gear? Did they whine that they didn't get to play on their own amps? Did they whine that, oh, you're changing our sound? Oh, you're changing the song? No, they got up, they stepped up and played a great fucking show. And that is what professionalism is. So I just want to give a great big salute to the Goat Horror guys. You guys were absolutely magnificent. Way to show how it's done.
Now what the fuck am I hearing? You are talking about hitting hi-hat softly, and in another video you urge drummers to stop being a wimp and hit harder. It's in the video called How to Not Completely Suck at Heavy Rock Drums. The other day this motherfucker was saying that the drummer of Tortured Saint was at the top of his game. LMAO. This guy clearly doesn't know of what he's talking about. I met producers like him, and it's just fucking sad that people think he is cool while he just talks shit like crazy.
All right, guitar players, if you can, please convince your drummers to put down their coloring books for a couple minutes. I'm going to explain this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk real slow and stop using big words so all the drummers can understand. Apparently, I've been a little too subtle with the message I'm trying to get across to a few of you drummers. So, let me spell it out for you in very simple terms that even you guys can understand. This is a snare drum. This is a hi-hat. The hi-hat, you guys hit way too fucking hard. The snare drum, a lot of you guys hit like a bunch of fucking pussies. Hit this way too hard, hit this way too soft. Here's what we need to do. Hit this softer, hit this harder. Confused? Let me try it again. This is a hi-hat, hit it softly. This is a snare drum, hit it harder, preferably with rim shots. That way it cuts through a mix. We don't need a lot of hi-hat because we're making a heavy metal record and not a disco record.
Is 4 toms too many? 2 racks and 2 floors. I've been wondering.
Not necessarily too many, just as long as you actually play them. You know, one of my biggest gripes about recording drummers is the guys who bring in, the 9 and 11 piece drum sets and then hit all the extra, basically they play a 5-piece and then hit all the extra elements maybe once on an entire album. That pisses me off because, I've got to set up all these mics and have all this extra gear set up, and we're talking thousands of dollars in signal chains for mics and preamps and all the rest of the bullshit, and then they only hit it once or twice. It's like, you fucking asshole. If you need it that bad, you know what? Just set up the core kit and then we can drop in those extra elements on a secondary track and mic those up solo. If you're gonna have 4 fucking toms, just make sure you're actually going to fucking play them.
Hey Glenn, I was wondering what your first encounter with metal was like. That moment where you just fell in love with heavy music. Sorry if it seems like a stupid question.
Not a stupid question at all. In my experience, there's no such thing as a stupid question, only stupid bass players. Anyway, for me, I can pretty much remember it. It was like September of 1984. And I was listening to Judas Priest's Screaming for Vengeance album, most notably the song The Hellion / Electric Eye. That's really the first time I ever listened to music where I made my fucking hair stand on end. And the thing is, it's like 32 years later, it still makes my fucking hair stand on end every single time I fucking hear that. That's just a magnificent piece of music. Such a powerful intro. And just fucking makes my hair stand on end every time I fucking hear it. And I was instantly fucking hooked. Judas Priest became my favorite band and still is my favorite band to this day. So, a lot of the music you really dig happens. You tend to discover it when you're younger and whatnot, and I'm sure there's 14-year-old kids discovering new and cool bands today, So when I was your age, we didn't use auto-tune. We didn't use time-align. No. We had to fucking play our instruments. And that's so great to just rub people's fucking noses in that.
Hi Glenn, do you have any cymbal bleed advice? I've tried everything I can, but always the hit hats bleed through the snare mic. Loved how to record heavy drums though, it was awesome.
Yeah, dude, I just did something the other day about debleeder from Wilkinson Audio. There's also Drumatom. Both of those are very effective at controlling bleed. They're priced pretty differently, and they do tend to do things a little bit differently as well. I'd say check them out, watch some demos, and see which one works for you.
Try telling Alex Nasla that keyboards aren't the central instrument in metal.
Alex, love you, buddy. Keyboards aren't the central instrument in metal. Unless you're Europe. No. Good luck with that.
Glenn, have you ever had any bands that have broken up in the studio just because of pure douchey rage?
Yep. Usually not quite in the studio. Usually happens after the record's made. I remember doing a hardcore band back in like 99, 2000. Yep, finished a record, band broke up. And most notably, Woods of Ypres on the 2004 album, Pursuit of the Sun and the Lure of the Earth. Basically, the guys in the band were having so much fun, they did their parts and just fucking quit. And then Dave reformed the band, and he went through several versions of that band. And I don't think he ever actually settled on a lineup. I could be wrong. wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But that was my experience, is basically those guys couldn't wait to get their tracks done and just get the fuck out of there. So yeah, unfortunately that does happen from time to time. Hasn't happened in a while, but yes, it does happen, and it always sucks when it does.
Hey Glenn, any advice on how to record violins? I'm in Ireland, so a lot of people want to record them.
Interestingly enough, I learned how to record violins by doing Celtic bands, the traditional Irish folk music bands. I used to try it with a condenser, and you always wound up with this, tear your head off fucking trouble, because a violin is a very, very bright instrument. And eventually I settled on, those cheap Apex ribbon mics I really like for my drum room, because they're a little darker sounding. And generally, what I'd recommend is a cheap Chinese ribbon over the shoulder. If you got your violinist up here, make sure you're maybe a little bit behind him, and just kind of over top like this, and you can get a pretty nice violin sound, and pretty deep and dark too. And it doesn't have that super high end that just that'll fucking just agony on the fucking ears. So yeah, there you go. Not too difficult to record violins. I'd be very interested to hear how that turns out, because I'm sure there are a shit ton of Irish fiddle players that would just kick my ass. Anyway, guys, just want to let you guys know, I now have SMG coffee mugs in stock. This is the logo mug, and I've also got rule number 2, your bass player is a useless cunt, with the awesome SMG logo on the back. I've also got 1, 2, 3, 4, this mug is smarter than your drummer, stop covering the mic, dumbass, and a couple of brand new designs as well. This one, pitch correction, it's like steroids for shitty musicians. And one that was kind of actually not inspired by the studio, but the grocery store, which is called Life Would Be Simpler If All the Dumb People Would Get Out of the Way. Anyway, yeah, you can get those for about $16 each, and the shipping is very reasonable to anywhere in the world. Like I said, I'm working with a new carrier, so yeah, shipping is very reasonable to the States, to Europe and whatnot, and hopefully I'm going to be offering a lot more merch in the very near future. I've got some test t-shirts being printed right now. I should get those in the next day or two. And if they meet my standards, I will make many more shirts available in many more colors. Meanwhile, all existing shirts I have in stock right now are still on sale. They've been marked down huge. I want these fuckers gone. So if you want to grab yourself a shirt, especially if you're small or a XXL or a XXL, I've still got a bunch of those going along. They are going for very, very cheap right now. You can get those at spectremedia.ca/shop, and these are the only time you are ever going to see them going for this cheap. So grab one while you can. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. That's it for this week. I'll see you next week sometime around Tuesday, Wednesday, hopefully with that cabinet shootout video. I hope it goes well. It's going to be a lot of work. Anyway, take it easy. I'll see you next time. I'm out of here. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to SMG Viewers Comments, episode number 44. Got a lot of stuff in development. It always sounds like I'm farting on this goddamn thing.